afternoon, everyone. You are watching our special segment on OTT in India, and we will have a word on the decision that the government has taken to take control of the digital content that is being published on the OTT platforms. So today we are joined by many dignitaries, and I just want to welcome all the dignitaries first. We are joined in by Mr. Sanjay Hegde, who is the senior advocate of Supreme Court. Mr. Sandeep Marwa, who is the film producer, social worker, and educator. Mr. Nitin Datar, who is the Vice President of Film Federation of India. And Mr. Mohit Soni, who is the CEO of Media Sector Skills Council. And we will be joined in by some more speakers. So I would request Mr. Sanjay Hegde, so please start with the webinar and tell us about your views on it.
See, many years ago, when India's software boom had just started, that was when some politician said, "Oh, we have a boom, but we do not have a ministry for it." And that's how the Ministry of Information Technology came about. This was in the early years of the Vajpayee regime. The point in India is that no sooner as something takes off, that government's instinct to regulate and then thereafter to start taxing it or in some manner or the other exercising control and exercising jurisdiction is a innate government instinct. So the same thing has happened with OTT. With OTT platforms which have mushroomed over the last few years, the initial question was of a jurisdictional fight. If you treated it as pure data consumption apps, and you treated it like any other app, it would necessarily go under the Ministry of Information Technology. But this is where there is audiovisual content. Audiovisual content has often been regulated in India when it comes to films, when it comes to television. And this is, if it is not push television, it is pull television or pull video content by some other name. And the government says, if it is seen in India, we should be able to regulate it. This, what the government has now done is, first to clarify, just to clear the ground, it has now said that with regard to content which relates to entertainment and which relates to news media, the correct ministry would be the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. So it has signaled its intent. Simultaneously, what has happened is that there have been these public interest litigations. We do not know whether they have been they are really in the public interest, or frequent public interest litigation lawyers who have gone to courts on various subjects, or whether they've been propped up by someone or by some sections of the industry. And the Supreme Court, in one matter called Shashank Jha, has issued notice to the government. The Madras High Court is also considering it with regard to regulation of social media. The fact, however, is that the courts do not necessarily mean anything in one way or the other when they issue notice. When they issue notice, they are only saying that, look, there seems to be an issue. Let's listen to all sides before we decide how we want to proceed. However, this government and governments before that also have used the courts often to do what they want to do. They want a signaling from the courts. Then they can always tell the public, look, what can we do? The courts have asked us to do it, and therefore we are doing it. This kind of strategy is not uncommon. I mean, though we have seen it here, there have been other issues also. Like you may remember that once or twice the Supreme Court asked, "What are you doing about a unified civil code?" in matters which were not really concerned with it. And then that became the starting point of a discussion. Today, the ministry is signaling that yes, we are looking forward. We are looking at all aspects of the problem. We would ideally like the stakeholders in the industry to regulate themselves. While we have regulations for the printed word in terms of newspapers and periodicals in the Press Council, the television industry has its own voluntary agency called the News Broadcasters Association of India, and there is no similar body for OTT content suppliers. On the industry side also, some bodies have been sought to be registered, have sought to come together, but they have not yet had the finesse which the television industry showed in the early years of the UPA, when Arun Puri, Rajdeep Sardesai, and the rest got together, and they brought about this act called their code called the NBSA, and appointed a retired Supreme Court judge of impeccable eminence. The first chairman was Justice J.S. Verma, and so in effect, that body co-opted the judicial process to a certain extent, even if it was with retired judges, and it has continued. The question is, what is to be the industry response here? Does it trust the government and say, okay, you form a regulatory body, you make the appointments, or give us one or two industry representatives? Or does the industry itself take ownership and say, no, we will form our body, we will appoint even members of the judiciary who will be associated, etc. If there are issues, we will also maybe co-opt a few retired bureaucrats, and only if this fails should the government necessarily take over. These are the two broad models that have that can be followed. The question is, of course, of the pending matters. The pending matters before court. Let me assure you that the judiciary does not necessarily like to micromanage things. It looks at a broad conspectus of things. Oh yes, it is. Judges are busy. They have their papers. They do a lot of work, and then at best they switch on a television or two. And some of the more tech savvy of them may get into Netflix and things like that. They are not in a tearing hurry to take over. However, in the absence of anybody doing anything, either the government or the industry taking responsibility and ownership for content, it may be that some guidelines will come. I would not like to preempt any action on the part of the judiciary, nor would I like people to fight it. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Just like the government has used the judicial process to start the negotiations, it may be better that the judiciary is involved to thrash out the broad outlines of what kind of regulations there can be if the industry were to so determine. This is the brief conspectus of the legal position as it currently lies. I would now defer to the other people from the industry, and I'm open to be further questions on this regard.
It's very important to understand few things for people who are actually watching this program. Number one, that India is the 6th biggest country in the world. 1/6 of the world stays in this country. 130 crore people and a wide variety of choice is in this country. Probably second very important thing which everyone has to understand, that this is the only country where we have Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. If you go to the Western world or to the Far Eastern world, you will be surprised to note that there is only one ministry which is called Art and Culture Ministry, and Information and Broadcasting, they are the segments in those ministries. So this is one country where we were emphasizing a lot on information and broadcasting, and there is a reason behind this, because we have around about 40,000 newspapers, we have 950 television channels, we have 350 radio stations, and we make something like 2,000 feature films in 28 different languages every year. Imagine the size of the media and entertainment industry. And around about 6 million people are working in this industry. We have to take care of anything and everything in this industry before anyone takes any decision. That's very important. Now, I'm recollecting one line कि इतना रहे ख्याल सताने के साथ साथ कि हम भी बदल रहे हैं जमाने के साथ साथ. The Indian audience, they have suffered a lot for 70 years. They've been watching all those censored films. A censor board is in create, and nothing much been shown on screen. Probably that is the reason that the desperate and restless audience of this country has jumped to internet. And internet, I mean, I don't want to speak the figures, but the best of the sites are watched by Indians in India on internet, Indian connections, mind you. And point is this, things are changing very fast. The society is changing very fast. The people are changing very fast. And probably that's the reason that Doordarshan has changed its attitude. Censor board has changed its attitude. They have become liberal in giving censor certificates. And simultaneously, the channels, the private channels which we entered into the Indian market 25 years back, there was an invasion of channels in India, and this same problem occurred during that time. I mean, I still remember it was 97, 98 when someone filed a PAL that all these private channels are showing much more than what is required. I mean, like Doordarshan should be the line of assessment even for these channels. So how these channels are going to be different from the one basic national broadcasters like Doordarshan? So they had to be different. They had to be a little more broad-minded to cater to all those audience which are waiting for these kind of programs to come and see. I'm talking about many years back. Now I think it's another phase. It's another phase when all these OTT channels have started coming in. They have grown something like 65% in pandemic, imagine. And now altogether they're catering to something like 300 million audience. It's a huge segment. That means there are people who are ready to accept the programs which are already running. They are ready to accept the kind of a content which has been shown there. Yes, there has to be a limit for everything, which we have to keep in mind. And what is that limit? It is actually, it all depends upon person to person, people to people, organization to organization, state to state. I mean, it's a very broad subject to discuss on. Censor board has already given some rules and regulations. On the basis of that, each and every film is generally being censored, and filmmakers are very conscious. They see to it that they should not cross those boundaries, whether it's in relation to violence, sex, hurting sentiments of the other caste and creed. I mean, all those things which you have, and respect your own nation and other nations. There are all these points which you have to keep in mind. But then, yes, we have obeyed all those rules and regulation when it comes to television now, when it comes to feature films now. But then now I think one segment should be left little free to do what they want, because but on the other hand, nobody should take the advantage on the basis of creativity. That's very important. And I still remember I've been on the committees of INB and others. And even that time in ministry, the ultimate result came down was that we have to create a self-regulatory boards within the own stations. And we should see to it that nothing should be more than this. Now, what is that every channel has to decide of their own, if I'm not wrong. now quite a lot. I mean, this is the kind of a platform where liberalization you can see how frustrations are coming out, and it all started with 3 or 4 channels. Now we have probably almost crossed 30-40 channels on OTT, and I think it's not going to stop. It's absolutely one after another, and another few months you're going to have many more. Now, though the minister has said that all these OTT channels, I'm giving you 100 days to plan for yourself how you're going to censor yourself, and I think your own regulatory board is the only answer for this right now.
Okay, so Mr. Mohit, I would like to ask you that do you really think that there is actually a need for a body to monitor the content uploaded on these platforms? I mean, do you think that self-regulatory mechanism will not work for the OTT platforms?
So, Varsha, I think after hearing Sanjay ji and Sandeep ji, and from the skilling ecosystem perspective as a sector skill council, to be very honest, I should not be commenting on any of the issues which requires some kind of legal aspect to be considered. But when I look into the OTT, or while we talk about these online platforms which has come in, I see this as a unique opportunity, because today being the World Television Day, I would go back 30 years from now, and when I envisage the things, I see that we used to be one nation, one family, and one channel. And that one channel used to be DD in the early days. Gradually, that one channel today has shaped up to 850 or 900 plus odd channels in the country, and has left us with a wider scope, wider opportunities to not just showcase the content which could be seen nationally but even globally. And there has been a lot of opportunity which has now been seen from the regional market. With this OTT coming in a bigger way, and particularly during this tough time of COVID, which has become a kind of the go attraction point for any of the viewers or the audiences today. I see this as one opportunity, but at the same point of time, yes, there should be considerable measures which should be adopted to see that the content which is being showcased is also some or the other way, controlled, and some ways it has to be a standardization which has to be taken in. But honestly, I would not like to be commenting on that. But I see this as a great opportunity for the young aspirants, the new filmmakers, the budding artists, to give them a new idea, a new platform to not just monetize what they are working upon, what they are really looking forward to get in the future of their lives, but it's an opportunity for even the regional markets to come in and showcase their own real stories, which means that today we are not going to be just more dependent on the bigger screens to highlight our regional stories, our regional culture, but these platforms are giving that kind of an opportunity to every aspirant, to every creative artist to come in and showcase. And this has also given a lot of international flavor to come in and be there as a part, while giving an opportunity, and I would say rather a competition, to the Indian budding aspirants and the creative artists to create something which could be of global standards and fit into the global environment and the global taste. So I see this both as a, like everything as a plus and a minus. I see this as an opportunity as well as a challenge which needs to be certainly measured in some or other way.
Okay. So, in your opinion, is this censorship coming out as a threat on the OTT platforms?
See, the whatever government is going to decide, whatever the court is going to decide, probably that's going to be the final decision, and everyone has to salute that, believe in that, trust that, and obey that. That is the final way. But then, on the whole, the fact is this: that we are such a fast developing country, and today we have, let's say, we have something like 120 crore mobiles, and out of which 40% mobile phones are smartphones. That means they're connected to internet, and you can actually see a film on mobile. I mean, how can you control all those mobiles? Tell me one thing. That's the biggest problem today. I mean, 48 crore people, they are eligible and they have the right to see whatever they want to see on their mobile. Now, isn't it? I mean, then we have to bring another law for that. That means what will happen to the laptops and the desktops connected to internet connection? How you going to check those? How you going to, if the minute there's going to be a massive restriction on OTT channels, probably all that material will come down to another new application. People will look into it and they will start throwing material on that. I mean, like when Doordarshan had ample restrictions, the new channels came in, and not one, 800 new channels came in, and they started showing something bigger, better, smarter than what we used to watch on Doordarshan. Then we started talking about those channels, and we brought all those channels into restriction. At the end of the day, it's a self-regulatory board which is working in every channel. And if there is a complaint for the channel, then the government has a right to ban the channel or close the channel for a few days. And that means there is a little control on those channels by the government, and you're bound to get kind of restrictions on your programming. Now, after that, OTT has come now. Now, if we are talking about restricting programming and content on OTT, see, man is a bundle of wants, and he is always innovative and ready to do something new, discover and invent. So once there's going to be any restriction on this, probably there'll be new platform which is going to emerge, and then people will jump to that. If not today, maybe tomorrow.
Okay, so I would like to have.
So while I'll agree with Sandeep ji, I would say, particularly it has become a time when the viewership is of content by choice. So if you have a choice to see something very specific and something which excites you or entertains you, the viewers are going there. And yes, I agree, Sandeep ji, it's a difficult task to control somebody's interest where someone is looking forward for the content, particularly in this time when content is the king. I see this as a great possibilities where people might waver from one tool to another tool. But at the same point of time, we also have to look into the perspective of how this content which we showcase today would not leave a negative impact or a negativity of any kind in the society. I think that's the only worry which I'm sure each of us would agree and which each of us would be feeling right now. Apart from that, India is not just a developing country, but also a very matured market for media and entertainment. And I could see that people have started sensing what dislikes and likes they have. And that is where, if you see the content, the storylines have gradually shifted from fiction to more realistic, more related to live, and that's how the audience are accepting it right now.
But then let me add here the kind of if we are discussing, there are very few serials which have misused. Let me put from the government point of view, the power of openness. But if you look at it, the kind of art and culture we are bringing of the world to India, or Indian art and culture which is being shown to rest of the world, it's unbelievable. I mean, like at just one button, your whole Indian program. I mean, see the kind of programs which are being made now. Somebody's covering the locations of the country. Somebody's covering the dances of India. Somebody's covering. Not everyone is talking about the overexposure of television programs. That's probably is only 3 to 5% of the total program. I mean, come on, forget about it. And not everyone is watching those serials which are talking about extra marital affairs or love scenes or things like that, or extra violence. Very 3 to 5%. Talk about the rest of the things. I mean, such a wonderful programs, you can see them. And why are you forgetting that when you talk about American film industry, the films which are shown, there is no censor board in America. The films which are shown on theater, they are shown on television as it is. They are shown on OTTs. There is no restriction. Do whatever you want to do. See whatever you want to see. entirely the choice of the customer, and see the kind of a business they are catering to. Those films are catering an international business in billions. I mean, and we are restricting our business, we are restricting our exposure, we are restricting our art and culture. Why? I mean, then obviously the point comes in that censor is only for those programs which are trying to cross the boundary. Other programs are as it is good, so fine, it suits.
Well, I don't think the government is really interested in censoring fiction. It is more interested in censoring fact. It's in news programs and current affairs, which really the government is interested in. Because suppose, Mr. Marwa, you spoke about our culture and all that. If somebody were to get into Vedic culture and talk about animal sacrifices at that particular point of time, that would go against the current grain of what is acceptable thought. The
Very
real
right.
interest of governments is to ensure that it can control what you think. And you're absolutely right when you say that if certain platforms are subject to censorship, people will move on to other platforms which are not. What is the big difference between an Amazon Prime, a Netflix, and a YouTube? Essentially, it is just the curating and the packaging. If things are not, everything has to be censored and follow a particular code on Amazon or Netflix. People might just get onto YouTube, and then even if you control YouTube with or any other such user-generated content platform in India, there will always be workarounds through VPNs and whatnot. Quite frankly, the young of India and the tech savvy of India, and by tech savvy, I do not necessarily mean people who have gone to college or anything like that. Uh, they they will Indian Jugaad will find a way around anything.
No, it's not Jugaad. Actually, it's not Jugaad. The fact is this, that there are another 30 platforms which are available.
I wanted to say something and he's muted.
Sorry, let me just complete. There are another 30 platforms which are available abroad. You can subscribe to them. Let's say the platforms which have an office in Delhi, the names which you are quoting, or in offices in India, you can only control them. But what about the platforms which are operating from USA and Europe? You take the membership of those platforms and start watching them on your television platform. What is it's
No.
basically
They want to censor everything. Everything that is beamed into India, like China, is going to go through a censor and approval. Otherwise, it will be banned. Now, already Facebook is being under pressure. Already, all the other OTT channels are under pressure to adhere to what we call our middle class moralities. Now, the fact is that what Sanjay Hegde sir is saying is absolutely right. I have 3 sons, and they say let the government do what they want. We can jugado it, and we can still have access to the whatever programs we want without going through any official channel. I mean, in China today, they've banned everything that comes from the West, which is detrimental
then
to
you have
what they
to
feel.
then you have to ban the internet services.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
then you have to ban the internet services, and that means you're creating 100 more problems. It's not that. The best way will be, it's going to be a moral policing which is required in India. And
Why is it required? Hello. What are you talking about? I mean, who gave you the moral right to moral police anybody? Excuse me.
The government thinks it has the right.
No. But even Mr. Marwa thinks that they have the right. I mean, if there are enough people like Mr. Marwa, we're screwed. We'll go back to the Stone Age.
No, I think you've not heard me. I've spoken enough. I've spoken enough on this
Why
side.
the question that we are all skirting around is who has the authority to ban what and based on what? Because as Prahlad is saying, the young today are impatient, restless, but most importantly, they're competent. They know their workarounds. So, are we creating a new kind of, shall I say, caste system where those who know access and those who don't watch what is cleared and what is
What,
appropriate and
what
acceptable
is
to
Sarkari
some?
news?
Yeah,
Or what
correct.
is Sarkari
You might as well end up
entertainment, as they
watching
call it?
Doordarshan.
No, the correct technical term for
They
it
will
is
kill. You know, I'll tell you something. We have suddenly realized that we are as much a soft power as America is. America has had a far greater what you call advantage because they have realized the advantage of soft power, and they have promoted their soft power to the extent that it has become a diplomatic power. So all of us who think that the Russians are bad guys and the Americans are good guys is because of the media more than anything else in the literature that we've read as growing up. Now they've engendered that, and that's the power that they have. We are nipping. We are first acknowledge that we are a soft power. Then you want to tailor what the soft power is, so that it makes it palatable to middle class Indians. And then you want to go have the world being influenced by it. They're not going to be interested. They're not going to be interested in sanitized content. As simple as that. They want to see the real
Right.
McCoy.
I think I've spoken enough uh, 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 um,
no
on this.
on soft power. Let me give you an example. I mean, if I were sitting in a government seat, I would not mind anything and everything with regard to Khajuraho being transmitted outside about India, but within
Yes.
India, nothing. I would want it sanitized. This is with regard to fiction, no, or historical content, but the government's main thing is now that having controlled the television industry or on news, they are apprehensive about news content coming out of these newer platforms, which are much more nimble, which do not have the legacy costs of television. And so when the government sought to say that, look, there are no migrants walking on the streets. There were platforms with one or two anchors and reporters who went into the field and showed you, and that visual was much more effective
Powerful.
than anything
Of course.
that was shouted through Noida noisemakers.
But that was the truth.
Rather disturbing.
Unfortunately, regardless of what you do with censorship, the truth will always prevail. And that I believe implicitly because the young people today, my three sons, who one is 32, one is 25, and one is 22, do not watch the news. They are very well informed because they use many social media platforms to actually gauge what is the truth. They don't believe the government. They don't believe official news. They don't read newspapers because they think सब खरीदे हुए हैं. So what do you do with the new generation? हम तो सब बैठे उधर pontificating because we've spent our lives in captivity and we don't mind the rest of our lives going back in captivity. The kids today do not want to go back into the cage, and they will break all the rules. Believe me.
So I think we are reaching to a kind of a decision that there should not be any restriction. There should not be any restriction. Why?
Absolutely.
It's
There,
justified.
Why would it?
no, there
Everybody has
should
to.
be a body. There should be a body which can provide
Make you
some
conscious.
measure of comfort or relief in case something very awkward happens.
It
See,
should be a
there,
self-regulatory body. And it
yes,
should
there
have
should be a
sociologists.
self-regulatory
It
body.
should have what you call media people. It should have advocates and lawyers, and it should be self-regulatory. They should see what is best for the country without being a vested interest, without being a government, without trying to censor things and tape everything around to their point of view.
And it should have young people, because what
Yes.
happens is that, as we've all figured out, the old no longer have a stranglehold on the right to control. The right to control needs to move from generation to generation, and it needs to move to people who have an exposure to what is coming rather than what used to be.
And this is the decision last taken in Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. I was in that meeting too, when the minister and the officers said that it is next to impossible to watch 900 channels, depute 900 into 8 hours each. The 2,700 officers to watch all these channels and see what they are making and what they are broadcasting. Impossible. That's the time when it was decided that even right now, the channels which are being broadcast from India, they have a self-regulatory body within their own campuses, and they watch on behalf of and they see that nothing goes wrong.
The self-regulatory body has to be an independent body which is brought up by the industry. The industry puts up a self-regulatory body of very eminent people who are not politically aligned one way or the other. And therefore, they have the best interests of not only media, but also the people at hand. Because they're a mixture of people. It's not only media people. The lawyers, the sociologists, the academics, the young people, the middle-aged people, and the whole work. They're representative of a broad line of people who are interested in seeing what kind of stuff is being beamed to the families. That's all.
That's something like censor board you're talking about.
No.
Not a censor board.
I think it's the opposite. You see,
Because
you
censor board
need
has
to-
people from all these strata of life. People
yeah,
from all
the
these.
difference between
No,
a
but censor
the
board
difference
is
between a center board.
of ministers
a
sitting in the censor board because they want to watch free movies. So, I mean,
No,
let's not talk
uh,
about the censor board. The least we talk about the censor board, the better we are off. Because
And the word-
you'll open a can of worms which you have no idea about.
No, the problem with censor boards is that they pre-censor. What we are talking about is a body which actually spends time sampling what is going on the channels, because as you said, it's impossible because 900 will become 1,800 in a short while, and it is impossible. All you have to do is some people who are savvy in the industry need to be put together into a formal structure so that they do random sampling and see that broadly there is nothing which creates tension of a abnormal kind in society or creates abnormal issues to do with sexuality, sexual abuse, underage abuse, etc., etc. That's all. All the rest should be allowed to pass unhindered. Censor board is like a railway platform. You wait. You have to get your platform ticket. Then you have to check whether you've got a reservation. It's an impossible structure to work with. I've been on self-regulatory bodies, and I've been also on the censor board, not because of any minister, but I can tell you that pedantic, elephantine structures just don't work. You have to have nimbleness, you have to have agility, and you have to have, most important of all, you have to have flexibility. Not get bothered about every comma and apostrophe mark.
Absolutely, Dilip, and they not only they have to be extremely responsible in terms of the sensitivity which they have, and not
Absolutely.
because it's a hathoda. Because anything to do with sarkar, anything to do with officialdom means that you are using a hathoda to kill a fly.
And you
Very
see,
well.
censorship, the standards of what is obscenity is often very subjective. In the US
Shifting
Supreme
sands.
Court, in the US Supreme Court, there was Justice Potter Stewart, who in one judgment he said, "I know obscenity when I see it." So thereafter, late night comics and everybody said, "Okay, obscenity is whatever arouses a judge."
True. And if he's plus 60, then it's better than Viagra.
No, so therefore it gets very subjective. Pre-censorship it cannot be, but yes, and I'm not only speaking of regulation of content. I'm also speaking about uh, compensatory action in case something goes wrong. Supposing on a news channel or a news show somebody gets defamed, where would where would you get redressal? How would you get that thing knocked off the net, so that there are no repeat shows?
And
So
it has to
they
be very quick. The redressal has to be quick. Otherwise, if you delay it, it's of no
yes,
consequence because the damage has been
yes,
done then.
yes. So the
When
industry
I
itself
say,
needs to agree that we will have this board which can take action fast enough, so that
see,
so
when I
that
say,
if
huh.
yes,
Sanjay sir,
yes, Mr.
I was saying, when I say self-regulatory board, you need not to have even people from outside. Right now, presently, the system is that the television station, they have their own people. Their job is to keep on watching television and see to it that nothing which is beyond their own, which again subjective, their own expectation crossing the line. That's what is the right now, because nobody, no one, no television stations don't pay for four people sitting round the clock and watch the television and then object. So this is self-regulatory board here. When we decided in Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, the industry suggested that let it be people from our own office watch and see. Luckily, I am running my own radio station and a television station, and we have this system within our house. Like, for example, when I'm broadcasting radio 24 hours a day, if there is no complaint, that means I'm absolutely right. But if there is a complaint, then I had it. And it happened once when a Bhojpuri song was broadcasted on a radio station, and immediately I got a objection that never play these kind of numbers on radio station. So this is probably once in 10 years, once in 10 years. And this is the kind of a system I think, again, we have to introduce even in OTT platforms, where the company will depute few senior respected officers to keep on guiding the rest of the staff what they have to make and what they not to. Ultimately, now there is nothing. Now the absolutely is free till we have final orders from the government.
You know, did we know that China is completely censored? That they have their own Facebook, they have their own what you call Google, and they don't actually encourage the Western people beaming into the population. Do you
Very
know
right.
that all the young people in China have completely circumvented the government, what you call control thing, and they're reaching Google and all through different kinds of jugaad. You think our kids are any less clever? They will do so. So the more you ban anything, the more you drive it underground. And the more underground you drive it, the less supervision you'll be able to have over it. Because then it will be sab kuch chalta hai.
Absolutely. And we have one more problem in India, which China may not have, is the number of our languages.
Yes.
So, and especially with news, it becomes a big problem. Primarily, the news industry is now an opinion industry, and actually a fire setting industry at times. So there are a lot of things which can be said in Indian languages, which one language may not be comprehensible and not be easily translatable into another. So therefore, also a voluntary industry body which can provide immediate recompense, in the sense that if there is something going on, which the industry itself says, okay, the moment we get an order from there, we will immediately cease for the time being, subject to our right to bring it back after we are cleared.
Sir, the best part is that even right now, we are not allowed to broadcast the news program on private FM stations
On private
or a
FM,
community
absolutely.
FM station.
Correct.
So
correct.
this restriction, we are as it is bearing it on radio and on other platforms. So
which is again very sad, no? Because there is no reason why we should not have a vibrant radio news industry, which would actually act as a check and prevent to other things. Because in any media format, the more competition it is, the better it is. Of course, there is the notion that when you have more competition, the slices get so slim that only the yellers and the loudspeakers get any attention. So that is a danger. But I think that as long as you keep the entry barriers high in terms of talent, the kind of track record people have, I think there needs to be much greater permissions for multiple kinds of platforms. Radio is only one, and I think podcasts are another. I mean, there are many ways now of skinning the same cat. What Mr. Hegde said as an opinion industry, I think opinions are so cheap today, and the reason television channels rely on them is simply because news is expensive to produce. Real news is far more expensive than
Of course.
opinions. Opinions are almost
Of course.
free. So you have the free flow of opinion masquerading as news.
This one another very interesting and good thing has happened. The government of India, in Ministry of Consumer Affairs, they have created a new committee, upgradation committee, and which is going to look after the level of the complete media and entertainment industry in India. So this is a new committee, Media and Entertainment Committee, in Ministry of Consumer Affairs, which is going to
So there's still too much of
of each and every segment: print, radio, television, cinema, new media, OTT, events, theme parks, music, studios, audio, video. That's something very good, and we are trying to build up these standards in India. That's something very interesting and something new today in this country.
No, I think there has to be some mechanism which has to be really brought in. Otherwise, it will become very difficult for the right viewers and the audience also to actually judge on which content and what content. I think that's another challenge, Sandeep, which we have been seeing, in fact, over the period of time with these OTT platforms. I think the way we are trying to structure it certainly could be one of the industry requirements which is there. But at the same point of time, the mechanism has to be built in so strong that at the end of the day, when we say even if this content is by choice, we see something which we really want to see, and not something which comes in again from as a mere shock to us later in the time. I think that's one thing which is missing out today, which we have seen some of the areas which have been a gray area right now from the OTT's perspective. But apart from that, as I said, it's an open platform and it's a unique platform, giving a lot of opportunities for new artists, new talents to come in and showcase it, which means that the industry is really going to take a phenomenal jump over the period of next couple of years if this continues in the similar way.
The fact is that we have already given around about 900 channels to Government of India to please look into them and leave over the top for people to decide what they want to see and what they don't want to see. I think so.
Okay, so now I would like to have a few of the concluding remarks. Prahlad sir, please.
Very, very careful as to what kind of sanitization program that they're trying to conduct, because we don't want to become another China. And we are heading very, very rapidly towards that same scenario. We are using the China model, not as far as the industry is concerned, but definitely as far as the media is concerned. And that is going to completely cripple and hamstring what we call our soft power. And the other way to look at it is that you think that the consumer is an idiot, that the consumer doesn't have a choice, that he doesn't want to not watch rubbish. Of course they do. Their time is also as precious as anybody else's is. So don't consider that the consumer is an idiot. The consumer is your wife at the end of the day. And if you think that she's an idiot, she's going to bajao your band. So the government should also be very careful that when they consider their own population as idiots and not being able to choose for themselves what they want to watch and what they don't want to watch, then they're playing with fire. And I think it's very counterproductive because it will drive everything underground. And once it's gone underground, there's no way that they can supervise it or even give dakhal to it, because it will go completely out of their control. And we don't want that to happen.
Sanjay sir, please, your remarks.
See, all of us agree that there has to be some kind of regulatory mechanism. And all that I'd like to warn is that if the industry doesn't come out with something on its own, either the courts or the government is to it will come out with something. And if you leave it to the courts or the government, the option is going to be much worse. So wisdom lies in formulating your own institutional response as an industry. As an industry, how would you like it to be regulated? Get people of impeccable integrity who have had to spend time in the industry, who need a sabbatical or two to begin with. To that, you add people from the legal and the bureaucratic worlds who can give it a structure which is translatable into the legal world and into the bureaucratic world. The model from the television industry in terms of the National Broadcasters Broadcasting Standards Association, it was a good model. They have over the years come out with their various manuals and things like that. That could be a good starting point. The other thing that the industry needs to do is to create a voluntary fund to run the regulator, as well as to compensate anybody who might be harmed. Once you have that model in place, then a lot of things can be resolved without the need for government intervention. And governments and courts have one thing in common: they are lazy. If somebody comes up with a solution, they will adopt it.
Anji Mohit sir, please, your remarks.
So I would say, with a country with so diversified culture, so diversified traditional practices, yes, there needs to be a mechanism, which Sanjay ji also said, and I think it will be a great chance for industry to come back and see how these standards, these measures could be developed and presented to the government. And I could see there could be great possibilities to, create something which could be phenomenally great for the country to look at, and should actually help in the media and entertainment community to further grow and leverage upon the entire new technological platforms which are coming in the time right now.
Dilip sir, your remarks, please.
My take on this is that we've all agreed that there is need for regulation. It should be smart, and it should be quick, and it should also have the ability to recompense those who are injured in the process. The more likely to be forgotten aspect is that it's got to be future oriented. If India is to continue to emerge and be a dominant soft power, you have to be at the cutting edge. You have to allow risk taking, and you have to ensure that the people who use it are the people who also regulate it. So Sanjay is right. If industry comes up with something quick, then it's likely the courts and probably the bureaucrats will seize upon it. And this is the chance. This is not it's not a window that's going to be open for very long. So it's a good time to do it. It's got to be forward looking. It's got to have young people. It's got to have women. One thing we always forget is that there are different perspectives between the male gaze and the way women look at it. So I think we need to make sure that all of them are represented, and it needs to be quick. The most important thing is do it fast, and make sure it's agile enough to respond fast. Some structures which are self-regulatory in the country today take too long. They meet once in a fortnight, once in a month, and that just doesn't work. So you've got to be able to do that on the same day and hit the ground running. Thank you.
Amit sir?
Well, I have no idea about this subject more than what has already been spoken about. Sanjay Hegde, Sandeep Marwaji, Mohit has been a great help to me throughout the day to organize this. Prahlad ji, Dilip, 10 minutes back I called him and he said, okay Amit, I'll join you. So first of all, thanks to all the panelists who came on board. Sabbas, I just spoke because I went off camera to speak to Sabbas to join. He's got stuck in something called Valley of Words in Dehradun. So anyways, I have little knowledge of this subject, but just a practical, insight into what I went through last year. There is a movie called Shubh Mangal Savdhan. The movie industry is very well regulated. It's been into the society for a long time in India also. Shubh Mangal Savdhan was under adult. It was a US certificate movie. Now it was based completely on a subject of impotency, which is an adult subject. At the same time, there is a movie called Daddy, which had a slight kissing scene between the hero and the heroine, and that too in the dark. And that was marked A by the CBFC. Everything is regulated. We have all the rules, mechanisms, everything. But I do not know, how regulation helps, how OTT will be helped by regulation, what is the role of society, what is the role of self-regulation, what will a fund created help in doing. I have no idea, because I just shared an example of a very, very peculiar situation. A movie based on an adult subject where 8-year-old kids were watching along with me. Movie based on sexual innuendos and the subject of impotency, was under adult, was a UA movie. And here we have a movie called Daddy, which was marked adult, which was one of the most beautiful movies on the Bombay, the criminal culture of Mumbai during the times of Haji Mastan and all. So I believe that we need to be conscious and educated as a society, and rules, laws, mechanisms can keep getting formulated over time. India's population will keep growing over time, and I'm sure one day we will reach a kind of a consensus between what is right and what is wrong, where some people will accept something, some people will not. So the center stepping into this thing, or into any other such contentious subject like coaching, like OTT, how it can help the society, I have no idea. But I think Sanjay Hegde will be the best suited person. If we face problems technically, we can go to him. He is the man who has all the knowledge of the subject, and the industry is ruled by people like Prahlad Kakkar, the godman of the industries, Dilip Sherian, the godman of the PR industry, Sandeep Marwa, all these great people. So that's about me. I have nothing more to add. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
you all.
everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Namaskar.
Thank you.